Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Black Eel Podcast. Here are your hosts, Scott and Mike. So, um, we have a what could potentially be a short episode. Um, we're going to be just talking about Harley Quinn season four. Almost said season five.
Not
But
yet.
not yet. And we're going to be talking about our thoughts on it. We're going to go over the overall thought process on it, and we're going to do exactly what we did last week. Go episode by episode rather quickly. Talk about the stuff we liked, we didn't like, and actually what I'm going to talk about what I'm excited for season five. I'm assuming Mike will do the same. Um, and then we have a character spotlight for you, who I thought it was my week, and apparently last week was. So,
I mean, I offered to give it to you, but you
so you
you.
did, you did, and I was like, you know what? I'll save it because I don't want to look for it again. But yeah, so let's get right into this. Season four of Harley Quinn. Your initial thoughts?
I really wasn't a big fan of it.
Okay, thank you.
Like I heard from some people that it really it picked up after season 3, and I really wasn't. I wasn't into it. Like I just
For
it
me, I felt like it was the last two episodes,
yeah. Like
and
the ending was when it really started picking up,
well,
and the
the
rest of
ending
it,
for me was like, oh my gosh, like season five is exactly what I want it to be,
yeah,
in the sense of like what it should have been a couple seasons ago.
yeah, and I feel like season 4 took what season 3 got wrong and doubled down on it. And
Yeah,
it uh,
I think
season 3, my issue with it was that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy were a couple. They got what they wanted, and they were just kind of annoying with how much they were. It wasn't really fun seeing all the mischief that they were doing. It was kind of just like them kissing up to each other, kind of. And like season 4 was basically taking that and is like, how can we make our relationship work even though now we're doing two separate things? And
right.
like for me, it just felt like off of what the show originally, the first two seasons, was, where it was just mischief, fun, stupid stuff. I feel like some of the stuff that was going on in season 4 just came out of nowhere, like Clayface being a big time actor that just
No, no, no,
effort.
no, no, no. He was a big time Las Vegas show person. There is a difference. I
Okay,
want to make that clear.
you're correct, but
But
my point is,
you're
it
not
still felt
wrong.
like it came out of nowhere because in the end of season 3, he was unrecognized for his role in the movie, and now all of a sudden he's this big shot. Uh,
I agree. No,
so
100% I
like that
agree.
had zero explanation. It came literally out of nowhere.
I also didn't like that Nightwing died out of nowhere too. Like obviously it was explained, but it felt like they just killed him to kill him, and I'm
Yeah. Yep.
like for no reason. Like I feel like they should have. I don't know. Like they're making him look almost as if they're gonna make him Red Hood, which wouldn't make sense.
Well, the thing with so I didn't mind the resurrection with the Lazarus pick
No, because
because,
everyone's been resurrected by the Lazarus Pit.
well, it was also going along the lines of like what happened with I bel
Jason
was it
Todd.
was it the Injustice universe though that they no, it wasn't. There was
No, the
a
Injustice universe. He became Dead Man.
yes, that's right. Yes, he
So
did. No,
he didn't get resurrected. He just became Dead Man.
there was a universe that they did where they resurrected Nightwing, and he went insane. The Death of Superman movies. That's what it was. They
Oh yes,
and he went
yes.
insane, and the only way to get their sanity back was to kill the person that killed them. So obviously Nightwing can't get his sanity back in the Death of Superman movie series because he can't kill Darkseid.
Yep.
Um, but in this, now obviously that's going to be the major plot point for season 5 because Harley Quinn killed him, and
Yeah. And then like the clone of Harley felt like that was stupid.
yeah, like a lot of this was just. I feel
Like
like they.
I also didn't like the fact that Poison Ivy was in charge of the Legion of Doom, because again it all felt like it came out of nowhere. Like it didn't seem like it Like, it didn't even seem like they explained. Like, even Lex Luthor, obviously he was trying to use her in some way,
Yeah,
but I still don't feel like I knew exactly why he was using her, because he
I
didn't
didn't
really
like
gain anything out of it.
I didn't like the fact that she became it because she was just so easily manipulated.
Yes,
Where in the first 3 seasons,
she purposely didn't join it because
she was smarter than them. She knew
yes,
what their game was. And now, as soon as season 4 comes along, she just all of a sudden falls into their trap.
yeah,
It's like all of a sudden, like you're forgetting how smart she is. And
agreed.
then like everything she got baited on. Like it was like not just with Lex Luthor, like all the Johns and then the
Yes.
evil female corporation leaders, like they like she was following them. It's like in the like I said, in the last 3 seasons, partially with season 3, but 1 and 2 definitely,
No, 1 and 2 for sure.
she
Three,
was
I
in charge and
three, I
she
feel
was
like she was until the very very end.
what was that?
I feel like in season 3 she was still in charge up until like the very 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 end.
Yeah, I mean at
Now,
that point it was because she was kind of like defeated because Harley
yes,
kind of turned her back on her even though she didn't,
no, I know.
um but yeah, that was like it was just some things were good,
Oh, I'm not saying
but
it wasn't overall bad at all. It just was. I was expecting more,
yeah,
and also like I got a lot of confusion because it's like Lex Luthor got sent to Apocalypse, but yet is in Kite Man. So it's
there's a lot of things too where this stuff doesn't add up to Kite Man.
yeah.
Like what
So it's actually just mostly so mostly Bane and Lex Luthor.
yeah, yeah. Especially Bane because well actually that was technically the holiday special, so that doesn't really count. Um
No, but I was talking about like him still trying to get with Nora.
no, that's what I mean. So like the love interest that he had um the not Golden Glider's mother, the stripper in
Okay,
season 4. She was in the holiday special.
but
Um,
she was also in Kite Man.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
like she
I was
wasn't.
I thought that's what who she was, but okay. No, so I'm right.
So she like the stripper was in the holiday special, and like
Was she
from the
only in the
holiday,
holidays?
huh?
No, she wasn't only in the holiday special, was she?
I she wasn't in anything else.
Oh shit! I actually watched the holiday special
Oh, did you?
because I remember her.
I mean, you could remember her from episode some from what's it called from uh Kite Man.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so.
Because I mean, like that. This was the introduction to her in uh in the holiday special. Like that's where we got where they met. So, but like from the holiday special to season 4, like Bane all of a sudden like left all that behind to go to Nora, and now all of a sudden from Nora, he's going after Golden Glider's mother. So it's like all
But
this
also
hop
going back to the stripper in the internum as well.
briefly
No, very brief.
briefly.
I understand that, but you understand what I'm saying.
So it's
Um,
like a lot of jumping around that really just doesn't like I know the show isn't meant to like have an amazing story. It's supposed to be stupid humor, but like the jumping around is really weird. Plus then all of a sudden they jump to the future and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy have a daughter that is trying to kill them.
yep. And Damien runs the city.
Yep, as a as just a broken down genius, I guess. That's
Yeah,
still a kid.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some really funny parts, like for sure, like Talia being a mother was by far the funniest part of the
Oh,
whole
that was
show.
funny because she had no idea what she was doing.
She's like, "I got you a rattle." He's like, "Mom, I'm 12."
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And like when when she goes to the store, it's like, what is the best pacifier for a 12-year-old?
And all
What?
of a sudden she goes, "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" Um, yeah, I mean, might as well because like I said, I think we agree. Like, I thought the ending of this season got me super excited because we're getting like the sirens,
Yep.
which I like more than because that's more of typical of Harley Quinn of what she is to me now.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
she's gonna be a vigilante, um, anti-hero. so
Yep.
I'm okay with it. So she could just be cuckoo for cocoa puffs. She could be herself, and it'd be okay. I felt like this also, and then also Alfred getting arrested was a whole nother thing too.
Yeah, like his entire spiel was trying to his obsession with Bruce and just never working out.
Which, by the way, the scene of the butler in prison, the
Oh
prison,
yeah, okay.
the prison butler was
Yep.
by far the funniest thing.
The jealousy.
the the irritation I see at his face was
Yep. Oh
priceless.
yeah, no, that was good.
All right, let's go one at a time. So obviously, okay.
You
Gotham's
okay?
hottest hotties is I. This is where it throws me off because I'm mixing up. I might be mixing this up a little bit. Is Gotham's hottest hotties? Is that one the one where we see Professor Pig and he's like,
Yes, yes.
okay,
He's killing all the people on the
he's
top
not
100,
killing them.
top
He's
20.
not killing them. He is putting. He is taking out their best features, removing them.
Well, some of them were dead.
Well, some of them had to die based on the parts that he
Yeah,
removed, but
yeah.
were some people who could live based on
Yes.
what we removed.
Originally, they were getting killed, but then
Once he
then
was
the
looking for specific parts,
yeah.
because he wanted to put the perfect person together,
Hmm.
which I'm under the impression it was going to be used as a sex doll,
I wouldn't be surprised.
especially the way Harley made it seem to.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, this episode was basically Harley trying to be part of the Bat family, but trying to be a detective. I'll say it this way. She's trying to find this new wave of being a hero, and she's trying to use her old contacts as a villain, which she's shocked to find out she can't do because they're either dead or realize she's a hero now and don't want to deal with her.
Can't they can't you can't as the entire store season was going, you can't cross work. Uh,
Yeah, because they're so different. And I guess the other thing too was the fact of like she came up with the idea to get Professor Pig um,
yep.
captured,
Yep.
and
Use Nightwing as a guinea pig.
because he's got Gotham's hottest behind,
Hmm.
and honestly, hilarious, loved it, and in the middle of all that, he gets captured, and while they're by the way, while Robin, because Robin did show up right when he was getting kidnapped.
Hmm.
So Robin, Batgirl, and Harley all watched in darkness, mind you, as Nightwing gets drugged and carried away by Professor Pig.
Well, the lights got turned off, so they didn't watch.
No, no, no.
The lights got turned on as he's running out the door.
I know, but it's still funny. And
Mm.
they chase after him. We deal with the like mismanaged puppets, which
Yeah.
kind of creep me out.
Yep.
Um, they've
I
always
know how
creeped me
much
out.
you love your puppets.
I'll say this: they're more zombies to me than they are
They
puppets.
definitely were. I mean, they were put together people. So I
Yeah,
mean,
like Frankensteinish. Like I'm
yeah.
going with that more than anything else. But I think they're like his like guards, his doll guards, and they just kick him and pieces of him fall off, which was funny. Do not get me wrong. And then of course, Nightwing's like, "Please save me! I love my butt. I love it. I love it.
And
Please."
he finally has his omission.
Yeah. And so she then kills Professor Pig and brutally grabs.
Initially, she did not. She restrained herself for a minute, and then he egged her on, and then Batgirl was like in shock, and that's when they put her on probation, where she had to learn how to be a proper member of the Bat family.
Well, yeah, which was the next episode.
Hmm.
But I also like it was the end of this episode where they talk about, or was it the beginning of the next one, where they talk about we don't kill people in this family. How am I supposed to know? And it's like,
It's
sister,
everywhere, plastered everywhere.
and wasn't she wearing slippers that say "Don't kill"?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's like, until you point it out, you don't even notice it.
But yeah, it's So yeah, I think that was the beginning of episode 2.
Yeah,
So the
that
second
was.
episode was called BITCH, which is breathe, analyze the oh my gosh, breathe.
I don't remember
It was
it.
something. It was about looking. It was about like, investigate.
No, yeah, maybe.
It's gonna bother
I
me.
know T is T.
No, T is tea break. C is something, and then H is I don't
Yeah,
remember.
just
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Alfred is training Harley Quinn to be a proper member of the Bat family,
But
and
there's a lot of things also going on as well.
well,
So we
yes,
talked we talked briefly about so last episode the reason why Damien wasn't a big part of the episode was because he was supposed to have a visit to see his dad, and prison doesn't look that bad.
yeah, no, no, it doesn't.
Apparently, for a billionaire, prison is pretty easy. Um, and Alfred finds out that Bruce has a butler and is not happy about it. And then in episode two, almost said season two, in episode two, we find out that Talia al Ghul shows up and takes over not only Wayne Enterprises, but also the Bat family because she was put in as the successor if anything were to happen to Bruce slash Batman,
Mm,
which is the
yep.
same person. Um, and so she messes up a lot of things. Let me just say that she's also hilarious because she's just so serious. I mean, she had some of the best scenes of being like trying to be a mother and being like, Damien, last time I saw you, you were in diapers. Are you still in them? Um, it's just hilarious. Like all that was hilarious to me. She also became friendly with um, Poison Ivy, which I thought was interesting.
She had a love-hate relationship with Poison Ivy.
But they also like got along really well.
Yeah, they did until the end.
Both, no, obviously until the very end. So this is the first time we truly get to see like fully Poison Ivy being in charge because she's finally gotten to the point where she's like, you know what, people, I'm in charge. You're gonna do what I say. I'm not allowing you people to screw me over anymore. I'm in charge.
Yeah, because so in the first episode, I believe that was it was the first
I
episode.
I know the first two episodes blend so much together
Ha,
because they are
ha,
so
yeah,
together.
Poison Ivy comes into the Legion of Doom. She takes over. She's the new CEO.
She tries to
Uh,
be everyone's best friend and stuff.
she tries to be the boss, but no one takes her seriously because she's a woman,
Mhm.
and they don't like her, the kind of conscious evil that she's trying to do.
All right, I gotta ask you a
Um,
question before you continue because you know DC better than me. Is Cocaine Guy like a legitimate character in the comics?
I don't think so.
Because he just gets really like he becomes fire when snorting cocaine.
Yeah, no,
He's
I
just
don't, I don't know too much about him. I actually completely forgot about him. Um,
I can't not forget about him.
yeah, I know.
He paints a picture.
Okay, so his original name is actually Snowflame.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Let's see. Um, Snowflame is a supervillain appearing in comics. The character was created to serve as a villain for the superhero team, the New Guardians. He is a in the New 52. He is an enemy of Catwoman and Peacemaker.
Okay.
Um, his powers and ability, he is capable of granting himself superhuman strength, speed, and immunity to pain. Huh?
By doing what?
Immunity to pain, pyrokinesis, and the ability to give targets an instant contact high, all by inhaling cocaine. So that's a legit. That is legit. Oh, that's great.
Okay. Yeah, I was not prepared for that. I thought that they were making that as a joke, which, to be fair, I believe in a certain way they were,
Oh
but
yeah.
not realizing that they weren't far off. Okay.
Nope, nope. That was following the source material.
I was waiting because you're like, we need to do all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but how? By by ingesting cocaine. I went, oh, okay.
Oh, that's great. Gotta love the early cartoons. What's funny is this is new.
This episode gonna get flagged for the amount of times we say the c word.
Oh,
Not even the bad one, or the beginning of the bad one.
that's hilarious. I love it.
That's too funny. So he's a real character. Good to know. So anyway, like Mike was saying, she's basically she tried to let everyone walk all over her. It fails, and then in episode 2, she becomes the hard executive who basically is like, "You're all gonna do what I say," and then they all try to attack her, and then she shows them who's boss.
Yep.
And then
Grodd gave her the hardest fight, but
but she's still.
no, she put him in his place.
I agree. Here's the thing. I agree. Grodd was the toughest one, and then I like the cyborg who was like, "I give up. I'm out
Yeah.
fighting. I'm not done with you," and just starts smashing him around. And he's like, "Oh no, ow,
No, that
ow,
was funny.
ow." And then Bane comes in. You're gonna clean up all the oil, but I just made it exploded.
Yeah, I just exploded
And
it.
she's like, "No," and he goes, "I'll get a bucket." Um,
Bane yet again steals the season, though.
Oh my gosh, we'll get into the pasta maker in a minute. I think it's in a couple episodes. But anyway, so yeah, this whole episode was Poison Ivy wanting to shut down Wayne Pharmaceuticals because they were going to replace all the male trees with female trees because the male trees are what produce the pollen and the female trees only produce the fruit. So their idea is to get rid of all the allergies, which will then stop medication selling, which will then bankrupt Wayne Pharmaceutical.
Hmm.
And she finds out that Talia al Ghul runs it, and then she gets all worried about it, and then sees that the reason why the anti-aging cream, which is literally droplets of the Lazarus pit,
The Lazarus Pit. Yep.
watching Cheetah put it on her face and then become a little kitty was pretty cool.
Yep.
But anyway, I digress. She finds out that she was manipulating plants to do so, so then she's like, "Never mind, we're fine. I'm okay with bankrupting her."
Hmm.
And so she does bankrupt Wayne Pharmaceutical. And it was the weirdest interaction because Talia's like, "I can't believe you bankrupt me," and she's like, "You're mad?" She goes, "Well, yeah, but like, good for you. Now I have to think of other ways to make money. So good job." And then she
She's like, I didn't expect you to be a real competition, so I'm proud of you.
and Ivy's just like, "I have no idea what's going
Oh yeah, no,
on."
it's like
And
going with
then
the flow.
what's hilarious is because Talia also deals with Harley because she takes away all of their equipment because she's got to sell it,
Hmm.
and she's like, "You guys are relying too much on your weapons when your real weapon should be your body." Um, and we get into more detail in episode 3 about that. But then we also have, like Mike said, um, Harley is punished by being trained by Alfred, who then tricks her into being his accomplice for robbing a bank
Hmm.
with the Batmobile, mind you.
Yes. Yep. Training in the daylight, going raging through the city.
Who she then captures Alfred and arrests him.
Hmm. Her first hero act as a hero.
Or first appropriate hero ness, I guess the best way to phrase it.
Yeah.
Episode 3 was okay. This is where Mike and I kind of fell off the wagon because Clayface has a residency in um, Las Vegas, and the whole plot of this episode is Poison Ivy trying to get tickets to go see Clayface. With even though Clayface gave her more than ample opportunity to ask for tickets, and she
Yeah,
refused.
literally all she had to do was ask Clayface for some tickets,
She
and she
refused.
refuses to ask him.
Which I will
And
say this. This also was one of the best fight scenes, though. I will say,
no, this was a decent fight scene between the two.
it's two characters I never would have thought facing each other, and it was actually really cool. And we
Yeah,
also had
we had King Shark
Harlan,
trying. We had King
Harlinda,
Shark trying to
Harlinda.
Har. Oh yeah, Harlinda, her alter ego, right? And then we
Um,
had King Shark trying to be a good husband to his pregnant wife, who is just like hates his guts. um,
I think, and although this wasn't clear, I think he had to have an heir because he's king now, and there's all his brothers are dead, and so I think the idea was he needed
yeah, I
by
don't remember. I don't remember that being like a real. I don't think that was talked about in season 3. Now thinking about it, right?
no, it wasn't talked about it at all.
Yeah, no,
He would randomly go like we knew he randomly went to the to his
Well, in one of the seasons, I think it was season 2, he did get married. Obviously to his wife, you know.
Yes, but I mean, but we don't see anything of her until this season. Because then in last season,
Well, yeah, in season 3 we didn't see her at all,
that's
but
right. That's
he
what I mean.
but she was in season 2 when he
No,
got
no,
married.
agreed. Obviously,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, but we don't see her again until this
Yes.
episode.
Yep.
Um, but we also see him go to his throne, like a couple of times in season 3, randomly. But they don't like. It was after he had killed. It was after the fight scene with his brother,
Yeah,
and
because he had to manage the,
but
you
like
know.
it was never a plot point. He just randomly was like, "I'm stressed out. I need to go," and then all of a sudden we see him get like carried away like a king away, and we never. And then he just randomly gets a phone call while underwater, being like, "Yeah, I'm busy,"
Yep.
and
Yep.
it was never explained. But I'm assuming because it was never explained that they really wanted to push him being a father, not because they wanted him to be a father, but because he needs heirs to his throne,
Hmm.
which he has 9 children. Um, and
He has
apparently
9. He has 9 children in total. 8 of them he has himself. 1 his wife took.
which is the firstborn
The
specifically,
firstborn. Yep.
which is why I think it had to do with him being king, because she only took the firstborn back to the ocean,
Hmm.
where you know what I'm saying. So that's where I went with the whole he had to do it because he's king. Um,
Probably it wasn't talked about. So.
no, it wasn't talked about. I'm just making assumptions.
Yep.
And so basically, Harley Quinn created this alternate personality, um, Harlinda or whatever it was, and that was where she just puts on a wig and gets to be crazy for as long as she wants without disrupting her ability to be a hero. Um, and then it's just it was pretty much the rest of the episode was just um, Nora trying to get tickets to Clayface, and she could get tickets for everywhere except for Clayface. She's like, I can get you backstage passes to meet with Brittany. I could do all these things. You could see all these people, but Clayface is backed up. Like, I got nothing. And
Hmm.
Clayface is just like, and he knows right from the get go that she doesn't have the tickets. Um, and it is hilarious between the two of them because she's not backing down and he's not backing down. And then the two of them begin to fight, and it is by far the funniest fight scene, but also the one of the best fight scenes, um, because it's just the two of them going back and forth, and neither one of them can do significant damage to the other, which is
They're just
hilarious.
doing more damage to everything else.
Correct. And then Harley just wraps her up, pulls her up, and then gets Clayface out of there. And she's like, I can break out of this at any time. She goes, yeah, but I need you to cool down.
I want to point out that she got Clayface to go away because he was angry, and she got him to stop by saying, "Because you're angry, you're getting the folds on top of your forehead." And he looks in the mirror and he's like, "Don't look at me," and runs away.
It's so funny because he's legitimately made out of clay, and he comes back.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I want to also point out that Clayface finally learned that Poison Ivy, like he knew, but he got the confirmation that Poison Ivy didn't have the tickets
By
by in
pretending to be.
person a crippled kid.
No, no. He what has he it was a make a wish,
Yes,
and
it was Make a Wish.
he has
Oh
cancer,
yeah, yeah, yep.
and and then all of a sudden the mother's like, "Where's my son?" And he's like,
Yeah, he's just like he appears. He's like, "Aha! I knew you didn't have tickets." And you just hear the mother, "What did you do with my son?" It's
and
like,
it's never explained.
nope, just completely pushed aside. That was funny.
I was not expecting that. Well, actually, I'll say this. I think for me, if because it was Clayface, I thought all of it was Clayface. Like he was
Yeah,
pretending to be all of them, and then
yeah.
it turns out he was just
No,
a kid.
no. I
And
was
I'm
like,
like,
it was like they're all in on it, and it's like, nope, nope, nope. He just took the kid's place.
oh my gosh, it was actually really cool. I like this episode just for the sheer fact of Clayface, but again, because it was a different character who made it entertaining.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
although I will
It's
say
getting to
I
the
like
it's getting to the point when it becomes Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn spotlight. It's not as good anymore.
I will say though I did like Poison Ivy in this episode, but again, it was only because of her interactions with Clayface,
Clayface. Yeah.
which was still hilarious.
Hmm.
This was actually one of my favorite episodes. Um, because it was
Aside for the
so
last two.
the last one specifically for sure tops this one without a question.
Oh yeah.
The other one may or may not, might be even. I'm not 100% sure. Haven't decided. But anyway, so that was episode 3. So episode 4 was was basically Ivy goes to a conference on the moon and the Bat family's low on funds, so they decide to rent out Wayne Manor.
Oh yeah. Yep. Forgot about that.
And
And
and Damien hates being a poor.
yeah,
His
he
phrase is
has
"I'm
to
broke."
escape.
Um, Also, what finds it funny to me too is that they're not good at fighting without their weapons, which messes with me because it's like
That's the
they
point of them.
yeah. So that bothered me a bit, and that Harley Quinn was better than all of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Harley
that
Quinn is teaching them what they're supposed to do, how to fight hand to hand combat. It's like that
yeah,
one
it's
was
like I'm like first off, the only one I could even quantify them allowing that to happen to is Batgirl because she just got introduced. You know what I mean? But Robin's trained by the League of Assassins.
well. I mean, according to the show, he hasn't been in the League of Assassins since he was in diapers. So
Yes, but let's be honest, even in diapers, he still had to kill people. So, it's
true.
part of the league.
That's
So,
true.
and then we have Nightwing, who is Nightwing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this episode bothered me the most because it gave me like a poor taste in my mouth of the Bat family.
Yeah. And then I mean,
But I
then they got stood up by the two Airbnb guests.
yes, and then it turned into a fight, and it was
And he was, what was it? He didn't take drugs that just made him immune to the pain, right? It was just the what was it? Do you remember what it
was
was?
drugs.
Oh, it was drugs.
I thought so. I thought
Oh,
they
I
took
thought it was
medication.
I thought it was some like hippie like meditation thing that I didn't remember.
It might have been both, to be honest with you. It might have been like a combination of the two.
No,
But
my point is I don't remember. So if it was
no, it's
drugs, it was
fine.
drugs.
It was, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure because I just assumed it was drugs because he was a hippie. Um, but it could have been a meditation thing. But anyway, so yeah, that was a whole thing in and of itself. Yeah, this episode overall wasn't that great. I think the best part of it was Two Face kidnapping the mayor, who was Joker.
Yeah, yeah. And then Joker was just didn't Joker like make some comment about how he's like, why are you trying to do this? I'm one of you guys or something, you know, like
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, I was trying to get a rocket, but all the rockets were taken, so I'm doing this instead." Like that was like the main point of the whole thing. Like, and that segued into the whole rockets going up. So like Talia went up,
hmm
Ivy went up, Ivy went up in what really legitimately looked like male genitalia. Um, and they made so many jokes about it, which were it was funny but also stupid.
yeah.
Um,
It was like it's scientific reason why it had to look like that.
and they never explained the scientific reason.
Yeah, nope.
Um, yeah, and at the end of this episode, is it this episode?
Next
Is it
episode.
no? Is it the end of this episode though that we get Harley making the decision that she's gonna live with the Bat family, or is it the beginning of this
No, no, no.
episode?
That was at that was at the end of the last episode. The one when they were at the hotel when they were trying to
Oh,
get.
yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yep. This one, the end of this episode, Batgirl went missing, and that was the plot point
Yes,
for the next episode.
yes.
Uh,
And so the next episode, which was episode 5, is Harley Quinn um wanted to go find um Batgirl, but correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the one where she gets LASIK surgery, or is that later
I don't remember. I do not
by
remember.
Supergirl?
Oh, yes, yes. This
Isn't
is
this the one?
this is the beginning of this episode. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I thought
Because
this was the one
she's calling everybody
because she
and
can't
nobody's
see.
picking up the phone
Because she
because she
can't
can't get a ride home.
because she can't see, or she's not supposed to because she just got
Yes,
the
yes, that's
surgery.
right. Yep.
All right, that was the whole point because at first she calls Barbara, but Barbara doesn't answer her phone. It's her roommate.
Well, she called her a bunch of times, and the roommate finally just like called her back or something. It was like, I've never had someone call Barbara this many times before. So you must be someone important for her, or something like that. Some kind of comment like that was made.
Yeah, and it was a
And
wonderful.
then Nightwing was pissed that Harley Quinn didn't keep track of Batgirl because it was her responsibility apparently to keep track of her.
Which again, another stupid point because he doesn't trust her
Yep.
at all. So why would he ever trust her? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
it was stuff like that that irritated me. Um, because it's like the whole point of this was he didn't want her to go out with her to save her because he didn't trust her. But then the whole point of her going missing without them knowing was because Harley was entrusted to watch her. But like it, it made no sense.
No.
And then Ivy had to work with public relations team.
Yeah.
Did she in this episode? Does she kill the Johns yet or no? She kills the Johns in this episode, right?
No, that was later.
Okay. No, we
No, that
didn't.
was much later. That was towards the end of the season.
Do we? When do we get introduced to them? Was it last episode or this episode?
Uh,
I feel like it was last episode because it's when they're on the moon, right? And Lex Luthor is completely butt naked, and then they dress him.
I don't remember.
But anyway,
I do
I
not
don't
remember.
remember if it was this episode or the last episode that we get introduced to the Johns, who are basically Lex Luthor's public relation team, and they seem to be all called Johns.
Yeah. Well, they don't seem to be. They are all called
No,
John.
I know, but I meant like they're. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, originally we all thought it was just like one of those things where it was like, oh, Team Johns because they all happen to have the same name and whatever. But there's a reason for it, which we find out at the end of the season.
yeah. Um, and then episode 6 was Metamorphosis, which is where.
Episode 5, at the end of episode 5, is
Oh,
where
sorry.
we get the death of
Oh,
Nightwing
Nightwing. You're right. I
because they
completely.
find Batgirl and then all of a sudden Nightwing drops in dead.
Yes.
And
And
then episode 6 comes in and
he
Joker.
starts with the investigation of his death, right?
Yep, everyone's going in through trying to find the death.
And Joker comes out as the villain, saying that he was the one that killed
Yep,
Nightwing, even though we find out later it wasn't him.
he comes in and claims that he
But he doesn't. But
claims
that's
the
not until
death.
next episode, though. We don't find out that he's lying until next episode.
Oh yeah. At the
he
end of the
comes.
episode,
But
he
this,
comes in. At the end of the episode, he's like, "I'm the one who killed Nightwing,"
and I'm no longer. I'm a villain again, or however.
which again, that just came out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
Joker wasn't really a major part of the story, and then all of a sudden, it was like at the last episode, like he told his family, "I'm getting back into villainry." And then they all were like, "Yes, let's do it." Let's all out of nowhere. They're all just like all psychotic murderers as well.
Yeah.
And and then in the next, like at the end of the episode, in the next episode, he's just full back into villainry. And it's like, is he still the mayor, or is he just?
I'm assuming he still is because they haven't voted him otherwise.
It's like, all right, that one just came out of nowhere too, which is funny because like him being mayor was a great part of the last season.
Honestly, that was my favorite part of the season
Yeah,
because it was just he won by a landslide.
yeah.
Granted, to be fair, his opponent did back out, but um, I think he was going to win anyway. Let's be honest.
With the way things were going, yeah. I mean, his original opponent was in a coma, and Jim Gordon still was losing.
Yeah, yeah. And then the next episode was. This one was the weird one because that's where they go back and they go into the future.
Oh, this is the episode, yeah. So yeah, they jump into the future. It's an apocalypse. Robin takes over Gotham.
And somehow Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn have a daughter together.
Yep, which they kind of explained it as like they did the and they inseminated someone or whatever.
That's what I thought, and it was just a weird thing because I think it also had to do with plant DNA too.
Yeah, and like originally, like everyone was all excited, and then it turns out that their daughter was actually working with Robin because she hates them because they ruined her life.
And they were horrible parents.
Uh huh.
And everyone's pretty much dead except for very few people.
and one of King Shark's babies,
which is
still
not a
alive.
baby anymore.
Yep, one of his kids. I'll say. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
I liked him. It
Yeah,
was
he
just like the same, like this very much a King Shark vibe, which I was like, oh, this is
he was
funny.
so much like his father. It was weird.
Yeah, I did like that, but
No, I
like
didn't hate it. No, no, I didn't hate it. I'm just saying like it was just weird. It was like
this
having
a
King
lot of
Shark.
this episode was like with Robin, like it was like the show is a lot of cheap humor, but like this one was even a little bit too much for me because it was just like weird things, like with Robin being just like when he tried to jump out of the chair, he just his legs collapsed because he doesn't use them anymore.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was just. I like the idea of this episode. I'll
Yeah,
say it that way. I don't think it executed well.
yeah.
Um,
And then they went back in time, and when they went back in time, they were supposed to go back in time to stop the apocalypse from
yeah, but
happening,
6 days.
but they were 6 days too far in advance. So they had learned that Lex Luthor was going to cause the apocalypse.
Yes, and it's
So they
6
were
days too
going back to
goddamn.
stop him, but when they got back in time, they were six
He's already
days in
started.
advance. But they couldn't go back in time because the time machine got destroyed.
Yes, and then
Um,
the next episode showed us what happened in those 6 days.
yes,
Which, let's be honest, Bane stole this episode.
this one was definitely one of my favorite episodes.
I'm gonna, yeah.
And it was involving everything because it was like Bane stole the episode, but like honestly, like everything leading up to it, where it's like Lex Luthor is doing his thing, and like Lex Luthor is a genius, but he's still stupid, which does.
And the fact that Nora is defending the Legion of Doom.
Yep, Nora's defending it.
Like out of all people, like you know what I'm saying? Like although it worked, obviously, I'm just meaning like it works for the story is what I meant. It just was something I never would have thought of. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so like just the idea of like Nora Frost defending the Legion of Doom from Lex Luthor.
And she has a thing for Captain Cold.
Yes, because she has a thing for cold guys and people who can manipulate the cold in general. I
Yep,
wonder why.
yep,
Um,
yep.
and yeah, this was good. I mean, I definitely have to say this episode was, but again, it was because Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy really weren't in it.
They literally
Matter of
weren't
fact,
involved.
they weren't in
No,
this episode at all. Not even at the end.
no. They showed up at the end when it was
Very
like
end when they
leading
popped up.
up into like what happened at the beginning when they came back. That was it.
And then the next episode was the golf tournament.
Oh yeah, because Poison Ivy's trying to get the votes to get Lex Luthor kicked out of
Yes.
as CEO of the Legion of Doom.
And then this is where we get the Harley clone, which
Yes.
was because apparently Harley sleepwalks and apparently sleep murders, and we went inside Harley's brain.
Yep.
And then the Flash went back in time to stop Dr. Psycho from remembering. Am I right?
So, yeah, the Flash took her back in time so that way she could prevent because she still has her memories. So she went back in time to stop Psycho from entering her mind with her because she didn't want her to have she didn't want him to have that blackmail over him.
Over her, yes. And
That was a tongue
she
twister.
then, yeah, but I got it. And then she fought herself. In this version of Harley Quinn, like the clone of Harley Quinn was supposed to be the good guy.
But it was like too extreme because like anyone that did
Yeah.
something bad was going to jail.
Yes. But it was just like yeah, it was like Harley trying way too hard to be a cop. I guess the best way to phrase it. And then she beats her clone, and that was pretty much this episode.
She kills her clone.
Yes.
And when she killed her clone,
She then feels bad. Not
no,
she doesn't feel bad about it, but she questions her
no. So what I was going to say was when she killed her clone turned into mashed potatoes because her clone is a potato.
Oh yeah, which was a whole other issue.
It's just like so like what?
I know. I don't have a better answer. And then the final episode was Ivy crashes a birthday party on the moon for Lex Luthor, and Harley contemplates how to best avenge her friend. Um, because in this episode we get the Killing Joke storyline, basically,
Yep.
um, where Joker shoots Barbara
That was at
Gordon.
the end of the last episode.
Oh, that's right. I keep the thing that sucks is it's like I know what happens, but like I can't remember which.
You're getting it mixed up in the episodes, which I mean, at the end of the day, it's no big deal. But
No, no, it's like legitimately the end of episode 9, so I'm assuming it's the beginning of episode 10,
yeah,
which is like I'm off by like 10 minutes at most.
which is
Um,
funny because so like at the like when he shot her, I was like, oh, they're doing the Killing Joke, and at the beginning of the next episode, she was like, you killed my friend, you killed my friend. I was like, wait, they actually killed the Bat family, so Robin's the only one. And then we got to the hospital and saw Batgirl sitting in the hospital bed. I was like, oh, all right, why are you like what?
well, I think the idea is she just thought like her life is ruined, so she kind of killed a version of her. I guess the best way to phrase it.
Yeah, and she like Batgirl like I feel like out of nowhere, Batgirl just started hating on Harley Quinn in this season. Like it just came like I obviously in this episode I could understand because she's mad about what her situation is. But like I feel like in the other parts of the season she just like didn't want Harley Quinn around, and I'm like what happened to the last episode where she wanted Harley around all the time.
Yeah,
And it's like there's like things that are going on between the seasons. It's like it's not getting explained, and it's like okay.
I feel like there's a lot. Like I felt like there was a lot of. I felt like I missed. I felt like this whole. I felt like there was other seasons to this, like episodes that I missed because it felt like it should have been explained, and it
Yeah,
never was.
yeah, no, it really wasn't.
And it was just kind of is what it is. And yeah, I mean the other thing too is it's like so at the end of this episode, it's Harley Quinn, technically Oracle now,
Hmm.
because that's really who she is now.
Yep, she's become Oracle.
Poison Ivy, and who else? Shoot.
Superman.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about at the very end of the episode where they're going to be the sirens of Gotham.
Oh. Ah,
Oh wait, no,
Catwoman.
thank you. No, no. So you're talking about yes, you're talking about when they fight Lex Luthor,
Yeah,
because Lex Luthor has the powers of Superman, um, and Superman's depowered in the
he's got this powers. He's got the powers of Superman and his hair.
yes,
And his hair.
and I know, but Superman was in since episode.
He was in from the beginning. He like
No,
early.
no, he was as soon as we went to the moon, the first time.
I think he was there earlier too.
I don't remember him being there earlier. I thought it was right when we went to the moon because that's when we first get introduced to Lex Luthor for the season, and he was like right up Lex's butt because he's from the Daily Planet, and he's like, "Oh, you mean the Superman fan club?" And it's just
Oh
hilarious
yeah,
because
no,
it's
no, no. So like there was one there, at the beginning of the season, earlier in the season. I don't remember what episode. It could have been even in the middle. Poison Ivy was trying to steal something, and Harley Quinn, as a hero, was trying to stop her while also telling her about her sleepwalking and how she's having like a not things are happening and she doesn't remember. And Wonder Woman and Superman are trying to stop her.
oh no, that was much later in the series because that was right before
Oh, that was towards the end.
that was before they used the time sphere. That was like right before they
Oh,
used the time sphere.
oh, right, because she was stealing the time sphere. Right,
Yeah,
right,
because
right. Yep,
it was like well, granted it's I mean end middle, but you know what I mean.
yep,
Um,
yep,
yeah, so I now know what you're talking about. Yeah, so
yeah.
but so anyway, so we have all three of them team up together to fight Lex Luthor. They shockingly win. Um,
And Steppenwolf for Steppenwolf was a big thing in this season because he was the one that everyone was trying to impress because he's the big evil. Um, and so Lex Luthor, when he gets defeated,
gets poisoned
Steppenwolf takes him to Apocalypse or
as
something.
punishment, as like
Yeah.
punishment for failing as a villain, and then we have the Gotham Sirens, who is Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Oracle.
Yes. Um,
And that's how I'm excited for season 5 because of the Sirens. It's going to be much more it's going to be more Harley Quinnish than it has been, in my opinion, in these
Yeah.
last couple seasons.
This is the best way that it could potentially go back to being what it was in the first two seasons.
That's why I'm excited about season 5 is because of how this season ended.
And
It's
I'm also at the end of the season we find out that
okay,
uh that they meet at the graveyard.
Nightwing's
Nightwing is not in his grave.
correct.
We find out that Talia and Damien took him and put him in the Lazarus pit. When he comes back to life, he says, "Where's Harley Quinn?" So obviously the plot point is that he's hunting down Harley Quinn in season 5.
But also Bruce Wayne is back as Batman.
And Bruce Wayne not broke out of prison, but he saw that Gotham needed him, and he made a phone call saying that basically is like, I'm done being in jail, I'm getting out, and they let him out. As he's getting out, Alfred is going in, and Bruce is just like, "Hey, Alfred, I don't need a ride, thanks. I'll see you back at the manor." And it's just like, doesn't
Rich guy.
no perception whatsoever.
Typical rich guy.
Yep.
So like I said, like and Mike and I have already talked about this. I'm excited for season 5 because of what we could potentially get.
Hmm.
Um, although season 4 I think was probably my least favorite.
I actually agree with that. Like I said, I was like
It
season
still
three.
wasn't horrible. It still wasn't horrible. I just had high expectations, and
Yeah,
yeah,
other people got me more hyped for it. So the fact that
which might have also ruined it too because
yeah.
when you
So
look,
like I was expecting it to be better than season 3, and
which is funny
it
because
really wasn't.
when you look at the stats, like performance wise, it's the lowest season, but it's still ranked pretty high in the sense of as like liked. So like it went from being like 99, 98, then it was like 92, and then it went to 88 or something like that. Like
Oh,
the
I
average
didn't.
of
Yeah,
100.
I didn't even know that. So
So it was well, no, I looked it up because I was curious because I'm like, they had a season 5. I didn't like it, so it had to have been good enough to make a season 5. So like, what was the thought of other people? And apparently, it was still perceived well. It
mm,
just was their lowest ranking season, but the ranking was still high enough for them to be like justifying them to do another season.
all
Um,
right. I mean, I would have given this season a C.
which is funny because it was like a high B.
Yeah, that's a B
Uh,
plus.
I
I
know,
mean,
and like, I'm just surprised. I'll say it that way. But anyway, and because it's funny because like Rotten Tomatoes ranked the last two seasons better than the first two. But what's hilarious is, yeah, but hear me out. It's like it was like 97, 96, and then it was 99 and 100 or something like that. And so like
what?
it was like stupid. But then you look at the audience one, and that made more sense.
That one,
But
okay. You never look at you never look at
but like the
the
Rotten Tomato ones were like so close together for all four, and I'm like they're just 1 point difference almost,
that
and
does
like
not
it
make
was like
sense.
yeah, I was like that can't be right, but it was right obviously, but yeah, excited for season 5. So are you ready to move on to your character spotlight, sir?
Yeah, yeah, I am. So this week, I figured I would touch on another character, seeing that next week we got Creature Commandos coming out. Um, that is right, not next week. 2 weeks.
Yes, but this will be the first. This will be the last time you do a character spotlight before the show comes out.
That is correct. Okay, so
He's like, I feel better now.
somewhat. um, so I figured I'd touch on another character that I thought I potentially saw, but someone in our comments had said that I was incorrect. But in case that I am, I figured I'd give you a little bit of enlightenment on who it is. I am talking about the Atomic Knight, otherwise known as Gardner Grail. I cannot say his name, so I apologize if I said it wrong. Um, so he is a hero inspired to improve the world after a vision of the future. So a little bit of history. In the pre-crisis era of the DC comics, Gardner was a sergeant in the army. His platoon was the infamous Platoon 13, and its symbol was a knight. Feverishly opposed to nuclear war, Gardner volunteered for a virtual reality experiment to see how people would react to a post atomic war world. A series of false military startups throughout the world leads Superman and star scientist Harold to the isolation tank of Gardner, whose mind has been manufacturing adventures of himself, leading a group of atomic knights in a post Holocaust world. After a time, the project was taken over by Gardner's subconscious. He commanded the computer shut down and hypnotize all personnel into forgetting the project's existence. Within the experiment, Gardner conjured a fantasy where the adventures of the Atomic Knights were real. His subconscious mind activated nukes around the world, and the catastrophe that Gardner wanted to avoid would become a reality if Superman had not intervened on time. After a mightily successful career as a superhero, Gardner took a job at Star when he received a premonition from the goddess Cassandra, and Gardner proceeded to use his new technical know-how to build his atomic armor, and he had a brief clash against Wonder Woman, and soon after the two heroes joined forces against a common enemy. Later, he joined another team known as the Forgotten Heroes, who actually they had actually sought out the help from Darkseid, so that way he could help them fight off the Anti-Monitor. So basically, using I guess, the lesser of two evils to fight a greater evil.
So weird to say because Darkseid is like the epitome of evil, but continue.
I mean, they're both, honestly, like, Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor are basically the same thing, because the Anti-Monitor is trying to destroy the universe, and so is Darkseid. So
One wants the credit more than the other.
So now that was pre-crisis. Post-crisis, Gardner was a sergeant. I feel like this is the same thing. So minor differences, so I'll actually just leave it at that. There are slight changes that really isn't that big of a difference. That's a slight little history of him. His powers, he has precognition, so he has uncontrollable visions, which show him a post-nuclear war future. He has basic hand-to-hand combat. He has a weapon. He has masters in weaponry, military protocol, computer hacking. His weakness is depression.
For us all.
That is very much so. So he has armor of his equipment. He has 3 different versions of armor. The first armor is powered by atomic fusion. The second armor is powered by solar energy, and the third armor actually doesn't say what it's powered by. Yeah, love. We'll go by that. He has a jetpack, electrified sword, energy pistol, shield. He was originally started in when did he? His first appearance came in 1983. And like I said, he is the Atomic Knight. He is also known as the Shining Knight, and his also, as well as other iterations, is the Atomic Knights. Or he's also part of the group of the Outsiders at one point. And he was also part of a group called the Seven Soldiers of Victory and the Forgotten Heroes. So whether or not I was correct, or that guy, the person that commented on our section, but that those knights that we saw in the Creature Commandos trailer, just a group of knights that were a part of the Queen's Guard. Honestly, like, this lines up pretty well. I mean, he's got 7 knights. He's got the armor to that shows who that character is. But either way, we'll find out in 2 weeks.
We might not find out in 2 weeks, but we'll find out by the time the show ends.
at some point.
Well, because I can't assume that it's going to be in episode 1.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't know that. You're right with that.
but all
But
right,
thought it was a little bit of inside information for you, so that way, in case he shows up, you know who he is.
it's good to know. All right, well, excellent. So, for those of you who are still listening, next week we have another free week, which means Mike's going to have to force himself to watch the full first season of Daredevil, the Defenders Saga. Um, I think you're going to like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage better than Daredevil.
So here's the thing, and multiple times that I've tried to start Daredevil,
But it's only been Daredevil you've tried, correct?
it's only been
Okay.
Daredevil because I didn't want to get into other stuff because I know that I need to watch the stuff prior to it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So what always happened? This happened. I think I tried watching Daredevil either 3 or 4 times. Everyone who I talked to would always say that the first like 4 episodes of Daredevil was the worst and the slowest. If I make it past the first 4 episodes, it starts really picking up. And every time I'd make it to episode 4, the first time I was just like, I'm not into it. Fine. I gave it a second shot. I made it to episode 4. Another show came out and I completely forgot about it. And the exact same thing happened the third time I tried to watch it. But now I have a reason to watch it. So I'm going to make sure I watch it.
Yeah, because the whole thing too is it's like, without ruining anything, season 1 is Matt Murdock turning into Daredevil. That's
Origin story. Yeah,
it.
it's an origin.
Legitimately was what it is. So it's like he's not what you're expecting him to be right from the get go.
Yeah.
And things get weird pretty quickly. We get introduced to a lot of characters, um, one of which obviously is none other than our friend Kingpin. But I mean, it's just it's what
No. There's before after you so after you finish talking, there's a couple things I do want to say. So before
no,
you
just
sign
those
out.
are the no. I was just gonna say like those were like the big things. Like I Kingpin made this series. I'll say it
No,
that way.
I've heard he is phenomenal. And I saw him in Hawkeye and in Echo with how good he is.
And to
So
be weird about this, that's his weakest performance so far, and it was still good. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
I get it. Yeah, like like what he did in this was better than what he did in that. So I mean, and
yeah.
there's still more to come.
But also, to be fair, he was the main focus of the other stuff. Although Echo, you could argue he was too, but he really wasn't.
He kind of just was showing up
He was,
as a
yeah,
plot point.
he definitely was more so than in Hawkeye for sure.
Yeah. Hawkeye, he was literally there just at the end. So
Correct. But anyway, you wanted to say something before we end?
so 2 things. Speaking of Kingpin and speaking of Hawkeye, I saw a report that they are working on a season 2 of Hawkeye. I think I saw a report that said that they're starting to film. They're going to start filming next year for it.
Which means that he's going to be street level villain. I mean, a street level hero.
Hawkeye.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
not Kingpin.
Yeah,
Kingpin
that's why I was like,
Kingpin is a street level villain.
yeah, no, I know. That's because we were talking about Kingpin, so all of a sudden we
No, I
jumped
know,
over to
I
Hawkeye. So
I realized after when I said it because when you said who, I wanted to say Clint, and then I realized, oh no, he's asking because I didn't specify because we were talking specifically about Kingpin.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, I knew you when you said hero. I was like, okay, he's talking about Hawkeye, but you know, I just wanted to make sure that you weren't like slipping of the tongue,
no, I
especially
was
because Hawkeye technically passed the torch.
supposedly. I know it's a weird thing.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm not
he
confident.
would probably still be around a little bit, but
Yeah. So
the
I'm
next
very
thing that I wanted to say also is because you were talking about origin stories for Daredevil. I believe we already knew this because I remembered this, but James Gunn came out and said that for the Batman and Superman of the DCU universe, those movies are not going to be origin stories. They are already well-established heroes, and he flat out said, like, we've already seen their origin 100 times. We don't need to see it again. The audience knows who they are. We're just going to jump right into it.
Well, I
So,
mean, I think it's gotten to the point where certain characters you don't need an origin story anymore.
I agree.
I mean, put it this way: Spider-Man, Tom
Spider-Man in
Holland's
the MCU
was
had
the
an
first.
or didn't need it.
Although we sort of got one, but didn't. Meaning, like, we didn't get the stereotypical origin
They
story.
touched on it.
They touched on it, but like we got it heavily later on, but like in a very brand new way,
Yep.
um, where he was already established as a hero, but then he's now the Spider-Man that it's supposed to be. I guess the best way to phrase
Yeah. Like
it.
it's basically like allowing doing it like this can work for established heroes
For people that we all know,
that
like
yeah.
it's only gonna work for Wonder Woman, Batman.
I don't even so like Wonder
Wonder
Woman's
Woman I would
iffy.
be pushing, but she's one of the ones that we could get away with.
Yes.
Batman for sure, Superman for sure, Spider-Man. I know it's a different universe, but bear with me.
But yeah, no. It
And
works.
I think honestly that might be it.
Yeah,
Um,
cuz the rest of them aren't really that big of like Fantastic Four is not big enough anymore.
no,
X-Men not really
no. You
because
see,
there's so
that's it.
many of them.
That's the whole thing. I think X-Men, like the group, doesn't need to have an origin story, but the characters
The
will.
characters need an origin story that will lead up to an
Like
X-Men
like
group forming.
X Men will always exist, and it won't need an origin story as to why. Like
Yeah.
Charles Xavier will be there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
that's not going to need to be explained. It's going to need to explain like each individual character's
Yeah.
origin story. I'm trying to think of what
Um
else too. Like I'm trying to
there's
think of
not
like other big names. Like
I
yeah,
mean for like for in actuality like in terms of Marvel, there's not that many like big names that can
and
get
in terms
away
of
with.
movies either.
Yeah, but like DC, we have the Justice League. We have the main, I guess, five because the last two kind of changed. But like even that, the rest of them need an origin story because they're not that well known.
Correct. And realistically, Batman and Superman are the only two that, like, in DC that anybody who's not even a comic book fan knows who they are. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? And like, they know the gist. Spider-Man is up there too because there's been so many renditions of it that
yeah,
everyone knows it's a guy who got bitten by a spider, turns into Spider-Man, and his uncle dies. Like,
yeah,
legitimately,
yep,
that's all you need to know. Batman, same thing. His parents died. He became a Batman. Superman came from another planet after his planet got exploded and became Superman on Earth. Like that's legitimately it.
Superman came over after his planet exploded.
Explosions.
Explosions, guy.
Explosions. Anyway,
But yeah,
um,
no. So like, it gives a lot of more possibility because instead, like, I know one of the always when it comes to movies, one of the weakest things for the movie, and it's tough to get off the feet, is the origin story. So a lot of movies struggle with getting that origin story right. So being able to just push it aside and dive right into the story, it
I
gives you an
think it's
extra
gonna help.
movie to build. Yeah,
I think it's gonna help. Significantly so. I'm curious because it's like you're absolutely right. Batman and Superman are going to be the ones that don't need it, but I
yeah,
feel like if they do anybody else, they need an origin story.
they will. Or at least if it's going like
Enough,
it'll be like
enough,
or it'll be like a Spider-Man kind of situation where
or
you get introduced in another movie as their origin, and then you can build on it like I said with like they did
or
with
even like
Spider-Man.
Hawkeye or Black Widow,
Yeah,
where like they don't need their own movie, but we kind of get a better understanding of like their progress. Because
yeah,
Black Widow was in multiple movies before she was an Avenger. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah. That works. I mean, and then we have the situation where it's like the Hulk, like we talked about, where he had his own movie and it
oh,
failed.
the
And
Hulk is another one that doesn't need an origin story.
true, because
You know,
yep,
I forgot. So there is a second one in Marvel, the Hulk.
yeah,
I just thought of
that's
that
true. That's true.
because everyone
Which
knows
is
the Hulk.
so it's funny is the one character that doesn't need an origin story is the one that always fails in the movies.
Yes,
Like he is the one that always fails. It's
but again, it's
without
because
fail.
it's every single one is literally an origin story.
That's true. That is true.
The only time that he's
His
been
two.
successful is when it's not an origin story and he's there, like Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he was a sporting character, so it wasn't like it
true,
wasn't focused on him.
true, that's fair. But
It's just
still,
it worked out that his story was able to progress.
yes. But
Um.
Yeah, so
But
other than that,
yeah,
that's going to be it for today. So next week, we're going to be forcing Mike to watch Daredevil season 1. I'm going to have to
I
rewatch
can't
it.
wait to come back and say I hate it.
Here's my thing. I think you're going to feel that way for season 1. I think you're going to feel like it's going to get better, but it still wasn't that great. I'm curious of what you think about the entire Defenders saga. That's what I'm curious on because I have a feeling you're going to like because my personal favorite, by far, hands down, was
Mhm.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
Jessica Jones was by far the best one out of all four of them. Punisher was good. I would say it would go for me. It's Jessica Jones. It's Luke Cage.
I
I
know
then
you don't
say
like Iron Fist. I know that. I know that.
you're gonna hate it, and I'm gonna hate that I'm gonna have to watch it with you. That's 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 where I am right now. I'm dreading to when we get to that. Um, so sorry. So it's Luke Cage. Then I'm kind of on the fence of Daredevil or Punisher. They're kind of in the same level for me. Um, and then Iron Fist is last. But I will say the Defenders is probably better than Punisher and Daredevil.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and
I know that a lot of people loved Punisher, but because
it was the end.
Netflix
Yeah.
and the deal was ending, they kind of just cut it off so that way like it just ended,
I'll
and
say it
that
this way:
hurt, that upset a lot of people.
they gave it an ending that they wouldn't have given it had they not known that it was canceled.
Yeah.
Because this was the last show to come out. So when
Was it?
yeah, Punisher season 2.
Okay.
Punisher season 2 I believe was the last one.
I thought I thought I
Uh-huh.
thought it was Daredevil.
I don't think so. Hold on, give me a second.
Um Punisher season 2. Of course you don't tell me when it comes out.
All right, so it's Daredevil 1, Jessica Jones season 1, Daredevil season 2, Luke Cage season 1, Iron Fist season 1, Defenders season 1. Oh, Oh, I was wrong, but right at the same time. So at the end, right? So we have Jessica Jones season 2, Luke Cage season 2, Iron Fist season 2, Daredevil season 3, The Punisher season 2, and then Jessica Jones season 3.
Wait, Daredevil only had 3 seasons?
Yeah.
I thought it had 4.
Nope.
Oh.
This will be the fourth.
Okay. I thought it had 4 seasons.
It was supposed to have a fourth season.
I know like I said, I know that everyone was just very upset with how Punisher was ended, and that ruins the entire season 2 for people.
But I also
So,
think it was it that like for Jessica Jones and for Punisher, they got endings because they knew at that point that the contract was up. So then we they were given an ending regardless of whether it was satisfying or not.
yep, yep.
Because it didn't
From
matter
so
to
if I
them.
remember correctly, I remember people saying that the Punisher, if they had a season 3, the ending would have been fine. But because everyone knew that the season was over and that was the ending we got, everyone was very upset, and it ruined the entire season for them,
I think so. Yeah. I have to watch it again. Obviously.
which we
Um.
will.
Oh, we will. So yeah. So I'm I'm more curious about where you rank the Defender Saga, like all over. More than I do about whether or not you're gonna like Daredevil or not. Because I have a feeling if you don't like it, you're not gonna like it. I personally think it gets better in season 2 because we get a very popular character added in, which is like a fan favorite, um, who makes like a big impact for the series.
Okay.
Um, and they're
Pretty sure I know who it is, but
take a guess.
um, crap. What's his name? Is it a him? No.
You're wrong already.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm just curious of how you rank everything because I think if you didn't like the first 4 episodes of Daredevil, I have a feeling you're not gonna like season one overall. I think you're gonna like the how it ends, but you're not gonna like season one as a whole.
Okay.
That's
How
my
many
thought
episodes
process.
are in season one? Do you know?
It's 13.
Okay, that's manageable.
I believe all of I shouldn't say that. I believe they're all close to the same number of episodes, except for the Defenders. The Defenders is only 10 episodes.
Okay.
Um, and the Defenders was just a one off,
Yeah.
which I did like all those characters combined together. It worked. Um, that I will not
Hopefully,
complain
hopefully,
about.
I hope I like it.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm curious at what you're gonna like more, but I have a feeling Daredevil will not be your favorite already.
Okay.
All right. So
We'll
like I
find
said,
out.
so next week we're going to be talking about season 1 of Daredevil, hearing Mike's thoughts about why he hates it, and we'll then be having a character spotlight from myself. Talk about any trailers that come out if they do, because there is the potential of more coming out. My guess would be probably more likely, I would say, probably a what if trailer, if anything, just because I would think like after Thanksgiving or during Thanksgiving. But don't quote me on that.
I know that there is a trailer coming out. Oh wait, no, no, no. It was a Superman trailer coming out during the Lion King movie.
Yes.
But
Um,
that's next month.
yes.
I'm sure that with the Super Bowl, with the not the Super Bowl, football going on Thanksgiving, they might throw in some trailers in there,
All
so
right.
that's a
So
possibility.
so that's why I'm saying there's a good chance there's a better potential of next week having trailers to talk about than this
Yeah,
week. And like I said, we're going to be talking about Daredevil season 1. We're going to go through the Defender saga. We're going to do it in waves just because we're going to have a bunch of stuff coming up in December. Um, where we might not get to talk about too much that we would like to. Um, but I think in January we should be able to finish or get a huge chunk of um, the Defender saga done,
yeah. Because once January comes, we have nothing is announced, so we should have nothing up until February with
which is
Captain America.
yes, but that's a one-off thing, meaning like
Yeah,
it's a one-week thing, and
yeah,
then I think the first thing is Daredevil, which is in March.
yeah. Unless something comes up, but
Correct. But anyway, so we'll do that. So, like I said, I'm very curious to what Mike has to say. But for now, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Scott and Mike signing out of the Black Eel Podcast. Have a wonderful night, and bye bye.